This program is presented by the Sarawak Tourism Board. Sarawak, the gateway to Borneo.
On this week's Hot List, On the Fence, how Indonesia must navigate political waters in the war in Iran. EV avalanche, sales are roaring and options are pleasing, but are we really ready for electric cars? And tongue-tied, Indonesia is way down the global list of good English speakers. Why is that? Hello and welcome. This is Hot Indonesia. I'm Dalton Tanonaka in Jakarta at 6 degrees latitude south. Here are my co-hosts now. Sandiaga Uno is a former Minister of Tourism, former Deputy Governor of Jakarta. His name, Sandiaga, is associated with strength, resilience, and leadership. Ooh. And Yenny Wahid is director of the Wahid Foundation, which promotes pluralism. She is a daughter of the fourth president of Indonesia, and her name, Yenny, signifies affection or intimacy.
Oh, wow.
You knew that. Okay. Hot topic
Is
number...
Is that ChatGPT or Gemini?
No, I did my research. Okay. Hot topic number one, on the fence. It was a military action by the U.S. and Israel that was supposed to be over in days. Now, after more than 1 month, there are fears of escalation in the war in Iran, with talk of troops on the ground. Oil prices have jumped, travel restricted, and financial markets unstable. Indonesia remains caught in the middle, balancing public sympathy with Iran while trying to appease major trading partner America. You know, what to do with this war? I mean, Indonesia offered to play peacemaker. That didn't happen. President Prabowo Subianto hasn't completely cut ties with Donald Trump's Board of Peace, but he's kind of backed away a little bit. You're getting signs of that. The religious issue, the religious solidarity is not a small point. Sandy, where are you on this conflict at this point in time?
Well, you always have to come back to the preamble of our constitutions, that we have to remain active to promote world peace, but we have to stay neutral. Now, neutrality is a key here. And because you're part of the Board of Peace, we need to reassess, are we being neutral? Secondly, is to maintain stability without aligning to geopolitical blocks. So it's kind of, if you go in the Middle East, it's very, very clear that there's no demarcation line like before, because there are UAEs, Qatar, and Saudis at one side. They're not actively engaging, but they're at the receiving ends of being hit by the drones, the missiles, and unfortunately, 20% of global oil supply go through that regions, in particular the Strait of Hormuz. So it's a direct energy risk. I was in New York City, in Manhattan, where the gas price has hit $6 a gallon. Yeah. So we really need to see the political, I mean, if you're in Indonesia, the population's 90% are with the Palestinian issues, and maybe 95%. And I think the situations in Iran, everybody's calling for the stop of the hostility.
Except the principal players, yeah.
Except the principal players. So we need to make sure that we are at the side with humanity.
Well, allies of the U.S. and Israel have not been rushing forward, as they have in the past, to support them. So Indonesia is not alone in kind of staying away. Yenny, how long can we continue to walk this tightrope of political neutrality?
Well, not forever, obviously, but but frankly, we should not call it neutrality. What we need is strategic independence for our own strategic interests as well. Indonesia, the non-aligned movement started in Indonesia, like Sandy said. But we also need to be still morally strong when it comes to war crimes. When it comes to crimes against civilians, we need to be still speak out against all of that. And we also need to be economically creative as well, because in this kind of situation, you need to defend your own interests as well. You need to protect your own people. We are dragged into this war, which is not our war. We didn't choose this. And I think most of the world does not choose this war. But Iran's reaction is predictable. Trump had been warned about this. Iran said that they're going to do three things at least, right? They're going to strike Israel if Israel strikes them, and then they're going to attack U.S.'s bases in all these countries, the Gulf countries mainly, of course, and then economic bases as well. So all of these are predictable, but yet the U.S. still chose to attack Iran.
Well,
we're all now paying the price. Everyone is.
Can you be neutral and still do these things? You really think?
We cannot be neutral. We need to be morally right, like what Sandy said. You still need to ask people to come back to the diplomatic table. There's no other way. I mean, if America, I think America is in a there's a big problem now, right? I mean, so everyone, the world is between Iraq and a hard place.
Well, that's a good one. All right. I've heard that saying.
But so basically, the U.S. wants to do a regime change. And that's against international order.
Of course, yeah.
Already in the first place. And we should not condone that. So we need to be very clear about that.
Yeah, we've discussed in the past the issues going into the war, but I'm wondering, it should have been over if he really was after one objective, regime change.
I don't think Donald Trump has any viable strategy of
and that's a scary
what is
part.
going to be the end game.
And the unfortunate thing, the first Indonesian casualty.
That's right.
We lost
this past week.
Our
peacekeeper.
soldier, a peacekeeper.
But this was in Gaza, right?
In Lebanon.
In Lebanon.
Yeah. Okay.
A strike from Israel. And I think the second thing that we need to make sure is what Yenny said, the economic impact, because you are already feeling it here in Indonesia.
Well, even as we stay outside the conflict, we must deal with it. I mean, leaders have been making public that they have to negotiate for their own ships, Indonesia, to pass through the Strait of Hormuz to protect our oil, and that's directly affected. But you know what? I've read and heard that gas prices here haven't been affected as much as other parts of the world because of subsidies and government intervention.
Yes.
That's correct. Right?
Yes, but not other products. For instance, we have the mineral water that we love to drink every day in plastic bottles. That's going to increase at least 20 to 30% price because of the plastic price is going to increase.
Will they pass it on to consumers?
They have to.
They will have
They will know there's no other way not to pass it to the consumers.
The government is not going to subsidize plastic.
No. And the energy diversifications, we need to accelerate it because I think there was a pause recently. We are not focusing on the new and renewable energies. Now this is the time for us, and strengthening economic diplomacy. We need to diversify our sources. And because 30% of the global trade flows go through that checkpoint or choke point now, it is driving all this other risks like marine risk, and I think shipping logistics is going to skyrocket the price. So it's a complex situation.
Well, and as the economic stranglehold gets tighter, more countries will push to end this thing. I mean,
Absolutely.
in the beginning it was just, okay, they did that and it's a military, but then everybody's getting...
And there's no other way other than going back to the negotiation table. Diplomacy.
I think the parliament now is pushing for President Prabowo to engage Iran directly. Our parliament here. But I don't know whether Iran wants to do that or not, because first President Prabowo did not actually deal with them directly, and he did express condolence. He sent a condolence letter to the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Sugiono, but he didn't engage them directly. But he engaged with the Emir of Qatar and expressed his sympathy towards the bombing of Qatar by Iran. So I don't know whether Iran will see that as a sort of not necessarily neutral, but more of a, inclined towards the U.S. and its allies.
I think he has a better chance of talking with the leader of Iran, whoever it is now. I mean, we're not sure, right? But than Donald Trump, because he seems like a unilateral kind of guy, right?
Well, I think
With Israel.
President Prabowo, I mean, from the clips of President Trump, he seems to be having quite a good relations with President Prabowo, like
You think he'll listen to him?
giving him praises and all that.
Kind of
and,
rejected his
there's also
offer to be a
Eric
mediator.
Trump, as the mediator. So I don't know
and that's
with the
business.
Revolutionary Guard of Iran,
Yeah.
whether there is anyone on the ground that the
I just
president
hope
can talk to.
it ends soon. I mean, nobody wants this to be prolonged.
No.
Okay, Hot Indo will continue shortly. EV avalanche. Will you be getting an electric car anytime soon?
Di balik setiap karya, ada cerita yang tak terlihat.
Saya ingin perempuan punya tempat untuk bekerja, belajar, dan tumbuh.
Waktu Intrese percaya pada saya lihat perempuan yang bekerja di sini bisa bantu suaminya juga.
Perempuan Indonesia selalu punya cahaya untuk bersinar.
You are watching Hot Indonesia with Yenny, Sandy, and me. Here's hot topic number 2, EV avalanche. Southeast Asia is leading the global field in electric car sales. Vietnam and Singapore both have EV shares at 40% of all car sales, surpassing even the European Union. Indonesia, 18% of all new car sales were electric, with sales growth doubling in 2025. Why? Costs have come down, more models to choose from, and operating expenses are lower in the long run. Not just a status trend anymore. I think people picked it up. I got the first electric car. I think it's more a practical choice for many.
Yeah.
You have one?
I have one now.
Okay.
I love it. I love it
Why?
so much, yeah. Why? Because it's very convenient and it's, it offers all
What's
kinds of...
convenient about it?
Convenient about it is everything is automatic, I'm not going to say what car that I've got, right?
You can.
But it's so... No, I don't want to, unless they pay you or this channel for sponsor. But
That's the spirit.
yeah, exactly. But anyway, it's very convenient. All you have to do is just press one button, and the chair reclines, and the seat go up.
How hard was it to turn the key in your regular? I mean, come on.
Once you
There's no
do
more
that,
key.
I know, but I'm saying it's not hard to turn a gas key or the button.
everything it's more convenient, and also the noise is not there, and the pollution as well.
That is a nice thing.
Yeah.
It's very silent, right?
Yes. So I love it.
A lot of
Although I
advantages.
only use it for city cars, for city drive.
And that's the anxieties
That's
of
the
many
problem,
who
yeah.
outside of the major cities. Besides the comfort and the benefits you like, the car companies have invested heavily in local production of EV, and that helped sales. And sales means faster supply. If you want to get something immediately in your model, we don't have to wait for it to be shipped in. More choice, lower prices, because we manufacture locally, which is good for business. Brands such as popular brands, and tell me if one of these are your brands: BYD, Wuling, Hyundai.
Yep.
I mean, those are the three major players. So the business impact, Sandy, is growing as well.
Yep, and I have Ioniq 5, Hyundai, so a Korean one.
Right.
I have the Chinese one,
BYD?
Cherry.
A cherry. Okay.
My wife is using BYD.
Your whole fleet is mostly electric?
Now there's only one hybrid, which is a Toyota hybrid, but we have 3 electric cars, and I would say yay to whatever Yenny is saying, because I experienced it. We were afraid that it's going to be a lot of glitch, and apart from one minor issue, I was at the ministry at that time and got called by the palace, and the car wouldn't start. But it
Because no charge or some other problem?
No. It was the problem not because of the electric car, but because of the battery to supply the electricity for the internal wiring. But anyway, I think the infrastructure is catching up. The global EV sales are growing strong. There is jobs being created because although they're imported components to these factories, and the Vietnamese also are constructing their factories here. There is supply chain potential opportunities for us. So I would say we have the nickel. So it's the EV components will require the EV ecosystems, and this is something that green economy is built upon.
Okay. These are the upsides.
Yeah.
And you know my concerns about the downsides. Charging stations pretty much limited to the big cities. So any long distance travel to your village or outside of Jakarta even, you're going to worry a little bit.
Yes.
Where can I recharge? So long distance travel is a problem, Yenny, still.
Well, even though PLN, they said that they've got like 1,500 charging stations all over. So it's growing now, the infrastructure. Of course, it is still it's still not up there. But I think because of the demand of the car is quite high, then we need to keep up with the infrastructure. That's a big downside.
Yeah, and
but this is also what happened to Tesla before, in the U.S. And also the charging takes like 30 minutes. People just don't have time for that.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I'm against it overall, but at this point in time, because of concerns like this. Now, also remember, San, and you're Mr. Green. Recharging is not. Another downside, recharging is not immediate, like filling up your gas tank. Yeah, that's fine. And that's why I like the hybrid situation. And as for the environment, remember that electricity still depends on coal.
On coal.
Yeah, I mean, to provide electricity, you got to burn it at the factory. So
This is an opportune time, Dalton, because the gas price is skyrocketing. We have the coal here, and we have the new and renewable energy supply. I took the car from Jakarta to Tanjung Lesung, which is like 200 kilometers. We got there, fine, no problem. We recharged there because there's charging stations, and then we didn't have any problem. So I think the shift from the consumer is happening because of the incentives earlier, but no longer incentives is there.
Yeah.
So now, because the gas price will go up.
Would the government cut their incentives?
I think they are no longer providing that huge incentives at the beginning.
Okay. But still, there are some tax benefits.
There are some tax benefits, but it was not as before. So I think the trigger now is because of high gas prices. People will do the conversions. I think it's good for the economy. It's good for the green economy in particular, and Indonesia should be the epicentrum.
And that's
of
a
this.
good point. The war and what we just talked about, if you're going to ever do it, now is the time to do it, to save yourself in case this war goes on and the price doubles.
The money, or all the money goes to the free lunch program, unfortunately. so unfortunately.
Here we go again.
Yeah. No, we'll talk about that again, but
we need to revisit that.
Yeah, I mean, kids or electric cars? I mean, that's a hard choice to make. I mean, not really, but okay. One last point. Another downside, and I don't keep trying to be negative, but after sales support is still a problem. I mean, you got repairs, battery replacement, like you had a problem.
Right.
Not quite there, nowhere near as regular gasoline cars. So. public acceptance, I might buy a hybrid. I mean, if they still are available,
They're available.
that kicks in with gas if you run out of charge. And that makes sense, right? I don't know if they're more expensive, but the cost of an electric car has come close to the higher end gasoline car. So that's a major thing. But I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, we're 2 to 4 years away from general conversion.
From massive conversion, yes. And now people are just focusing on the city. And the city car is perfect for electric car because you travel less than 100 kilometers a day. But it's inevitable we're heading that direction.
You know, we used to have electric trains, electric rail cars, and then we converted, and now we're going back to the future, as they say, you know, go back to electric. Anyway, more Hot Indo is ahead. I'll get one. My next purchase will be electric.
We're going to ask you, what are you going
And
to
they
do?
will sponsor in Hot
I hope
Indonesia.
so. They better. More Hot Indo is ahead. Tongue-tied. Why aren't Indonesians better English speakers?
Aku melihat bahwa masih banyak hewan peliharaan yang itu tuh masih menggunakan produk-produk manusia, dan aku menginisiasi Anima supaya bisa menghasilkan obat-obatan untuk hewan. Ikut program Indonesia itu di pertengahan tahun gitu. Waktu aku konsultasikan, mereka sangat mendukung gitu kan untuk bisa mengekspansi pasar ini keluar Jabodetabek atau luar Jawa lah gitu kan.
Kentanala sendiri merupakan sebuah brand fashion aksesoris yang kita menggunakan limbah kayu pabrik furniture sebagai bahan dasar dari pembuatan produk-produk kami. Banyak sekali hal-hal yang memang kita masih belajar, disitulah dirapihin sama Bu Reni. Bikin laporan keuangan, ada akhirnya momen untuk kita bisa presentasi langsung sama Pak Sandi Uno. Secara omset kita bisa naik lebih dari 80%.
Di balik setiap karya, ada cerita yang tak terlihat.
Saya ingin perempuan punya tempat untuk bekerja, belajar, dan tumbuh.
Waktu Intrese percaya pada saya lihat perempuan yang bekerja di sini bisa bantu suaminya juga.
Perempuan Indonesia selalu punya cahaya untuk bersinar.
You are watching Hot Indonesia from Jakarta. Hot topic number 3, tongue-tied. The international education company, Education First, ranks countries by English skills each year. And out of 123 non-native English-speaking areas, the Netherlands topped the 2025 global list. The top-ranking Asian country was Malaysia at number 24. Where is Indonesia? Number 80, behind South Korea and Bhutan. You know, I'm a bit surprised by this report because I thought we'd be ahead of South Korea, which is not known to be a very proficient English-speaking country.
I would say the challenges, mostly in the rural areas, we didn't have that much of English exposures. But now with social media, the language that they're using is predominantly English.
Yeah, much easier to learn English now than our childhood days.
And the skill gaps is actually now narrowing. Because more and more younger generations use English very proficiently.
Yeah.
So I would say, you know, during my time, we need to take the TOEFL test, and we need to score like 550 or above in order to get to the next level of proficiency. But I'm very surprised, and I think this have to be addressed more on the education's point of
Maybe
view.
this was gauging the last generation. The next generation should be higher on the list. I mean, Yenny, you have school-age children like Sandy, and maybe you can remember your classroom days. Wasn't that long ago? How much English is taught or required in the school?
I think that's the problem, because I'm not surprised about our result, because the thing is, we don't teach English. Is not we teach English in
Is there a requirement?
But it is a school subject, not as a living tool. So we encourage
This is a
more
dog,
towards
this is a cat, and you're just memorizing. Like America too. I mean,
in America,
when you learn other languages.
Oh, right. Yeah. But if you don't practice, if you don't use it in everyday conversations, then the language is just on paper. You're good at on paper, but then you're not able to communicate. So I think that's the problem. And the second problem is actually confidence. Indonesians are very cautious about looking foolish.
Yeah.
So they don't want to engage people and to practice it. But language, you have to use it. Otherwise, it's not a tool that is usable.
And that's not particular to Indonesia. In any country learning another language, you have to use it or you don't learn it.
And don't focus too much on grammar, on grammar. Grammar, of course, is important. But the main thing is just practice. And I think this is what's lacking.
I was managing the portfolios of tourism and creative economy. If you go to Bali, for instance, the English proficiency is very high, although it's not the grammar that is completely perfect, but people understand. And it's part of the employability. You need to be able to speak English, because otherwise you are not going to be able to do exports business. For applications, digital economy related, and not to mention F&B, because you have a lot of guests coming from different part of the world, and the common denominator is they all speak English.
Yeah, it's the international language of business. So
And what helped me before, I think my parents, what they did was they instilled all this system, right, in our family, which is that they showered us with all of these books, English books. And then English movies. And so it's a very immersive experience for the kids. And this is the way to learn. And then also, of course, my dad is also already very international person. He's got many friends coming all over from all around the world. So we get exposed.
And he knew many jokes in English.
He makes many jokes in English as well,
he told me one just before our interview, and I can't repeat them on this one. I wish I could tell you it. And her dad, of course, the 4th president of Indonesia. Now, and last point, English, yes, but real quickly, what other language would you ask your kids or advise your kids to learn? Most people say Chinese or Japanese.
Mandarin.
Because
not a unipolar world anymore now. You need to learn different languages.
Although my 2 daughters are really interested to learn Arabic, because they can read, but they don't know the meaning of the language.
And that helps in your studies of the Quran. Okay, it is feedback time now, and Studio M posted this comment on Facebook. Governments engage in wars without consulting the citizens who elect them. We must speak out and make them listen. And Danny73 in Landak said this on Instagram after our discussion about former President Abdurrahman Wahid. To the best of all time. Here's how to contact us with your feedback. Email at hotindo@theindonesiachannel.world or comment through our Hot Indonesia or Indonesia Channel X, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube pages. Final words, Yenny.
The best way to learn, the experts say, is through making mistakes. That's how the brain retains information. And so whether you want to learn language, or whether you want to learn technology, whether you want to learn any skills at all, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Just have fun, try, get exposed to whatever skill that you want to master, and just do it.
Just do it. Final words, Sandy.
Tough economic times, but rule number 1 is cash is king. So you focus on your business, make sure you manage your cash, and ride the resiliency train so you could navigate the turbulent time.
lot of places don't take my cash anymore, Sandy. It's either be, a card.
Even digital cash is
Okay,
king.
so you're not talking paper money, because most places, Indonesia is ahead of the game in most parts of the world. Okay, my final words. The government ban on social media accounts for those under 16 years old is now in effect. To kids who previously used these platforms responsibly, ask your parents to help you get information for the school or community activities that you need. And to parents, set aside time to guide your children through this transitional period. It's too valuable a resource to give up or cut out entirely. And that is Hot Indonesia for this week. For Yenny, Wahid, and Sandiaga, I'm Dalton Tanonaka. Thank you very much for watching. Please join us again next time.
This program is presented by the Sarawak Tourism Board. Sarawak, the gateway to Borneo.